Well, we're finally here. Ben Simmons has finally said what we've been thinking about for months now. He says he no longer wants to be part of the Philadelphia 76ers organization, and it seems that he's doing everything he can to get off this roster ahead of the season. Because at this point, with him not being traded, going into the NBA draft, it was basically assumed that he would be on the roster going into the season. That no longer seems to be the case. Or at least it feels like it can't be the case the way he's trying to get out of Philadelphia. He doesn't want to be on the roster. He doesn't plan on showing up to training camp. He doesn't want to be part of the organization. There's a ton of bad blood between him and the team right now. And we already talked about before. He wants to go to Golden State. He's not responding to Joel Embiid's phone calls. He apparently was not locked in the gym, working with Doc Rivers on whatever plan they supposedly had for him in the offseason. Here's a quote I found. It's tweeted out by NBA Central, but it's from a Western Conference executive per the Philadelphia Inquirer's Keith Pompey, I believe is how to say his last name. And this is all on Twitter. Ben Simmons says he refuses to play for the 76ers. He wants to go to 3 California teams. There's so much bad blood between him and the team. That's from a Western Conference executive speaking about Ben Simmons. Now, there are actually 4 teams in the NBA in California. Golden State, both the LA teams, and Sacramento. I'm assuming he's leaving Sacramento off that list and just referring to Golden State, LA, where of course you have LeBron, and the Clippers where you have guys like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. And his interest in Golden State was already known. I've done a video about this in the past. We already knew Ben Simmons wanted to go to Golden State. We're now at the point where Ben Simmons, does he really direct where they're going? They don't have much leverage for training Ben Simmons at all. If he refuses to show up to training camp and just refuses to play with the 76ers, what leverage is it? Like, what power do they have to say, hey, Golden State, we want a first-round pick. We want your 2 first-round picks this year for Ben Simmons. Golden State's going to laugh at them. Golden State's not going to take that. And if Ben Simmons is not going to play for Philadelphia, he offers zero value to the Philadelphia 76ers. So why would Golden State send their 2 first-round picks from this year and future picks to Philadelphia for Ben Simmons when they know Philadelphia's getting zero value from keeping Ben Simmons around? And they know that they can wait and see what they have in their first-round picks by putting them out there in the regular season and watching them play in regular season games. There's no value there for Golden State to do this trade immediately, where they can wait and see what they have and then evaluate whether it's worth it or not. And if you're Philadelphia, you're at a point now where if he doesn't show up, there's no difference if you trade him now or trade him 3 months from now, except for the fact that every single day he does not show up, his value is going down. Because teams realize that, hey, we can just say, you know what? Instead of 3 firsts for Ben Simmons, we're going to give you 2 firsts. And no prospects. Because it's going to happen eventually. Yeah, I mean, Philadelphia's going to have to trade him. And teams are going to offer less and less as we go on. And we're not far removed from them asking the Spurs for like 3 first-round picks and more like the young stars on the team. That's not going to happen now. And the issue is Ben Simmons thinks he can control where he's going to go to. Do the Lakers have the cap space for Ben Simmons? No, they don't. And they fill out the roster pretty well this offseason. And I like how it is right now without Ben Simmons on it. You can't have Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook, and LeBron James on the same team. Or just even Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons in general. So that's not going to happen. The Clippers, I don't think they have a cap space either. Now, are they maybe in a point of crisis mode where Kawhi's been banged up, Kawhi's hurt? Maybe you want to get someone younger in there, especially someone who can play defense. Maybe it makes sense for the Clippers. But you would have to move heaven and earth if you're LA to figure that out. Golden State, Golden State has James Wiseman. They've got Kuminga. They've got a bunch of other young guys on their roster. Do you want to give up all that for Ben Simmons? I would understand trading Wiseman. I could understand it in future picks. But does Ben Simmons offer your team, a team that already has Draymond Green, who is a very similar player in terms of his contribution standpoint, do you really want to add Ben Simmons to that unit? Draymond Green, great transition passer, really good facilitator if the offense needs to be, lockdown defender, doesn't score a lot, doesn't take a lot of shots. Ben Simmons, lockdown defender, great transition passer, good facilitator for the offense, doesn't take shots from the outside at all, and he'll shoot, but he's only going to get you between 11 and 16 points a game. And he's basically capped at that point until he learns to shoot threes or mid-rangers. And he's not showing any progress to that at this point in his career. I mean, at least Draymond Green's willing to shoot three-pointers. He'll do it if you leave him open. Ben Simmons won't. And we saw what happened to Ben Simmons against Atlanta in the playoffs. He passed up a layup, which could have been a dunk for someone with his athleticism. He passed it up. If you're Golden State, do you really want to send away your future young players who could keep your team competitive until Steph Curry's in his mid to late 30s? Do you want to send those guys away and your future and some future picks away for Ben Simmons right now? Why not wait and do this in 3 months? Why not wait and do this right before the trade deadline? So if you really think someone's going to jump in there and you really want Ben Simmons, and you think someone's going to jump in and scoop him up, fine. Consider it a little bit more. But I just don't see it being realistic for any of the three LA teams, any of the three California teams to make this move right now. And if you're Ben Simmons and you're already twisting the Philadelphia 76ers organization's hand behind their back, why would they send you to where you want to go? If there's so much bad blood between you and the organization, they're not going to listen to you. They're going to trade you to whichever team offers them the most money, prospects, draft picks. So you really don't control this if you're Ben Simmons. I don't know if his deal has a no-trade clause or not. I should probably have looked at that. But if he doesn't have a no-trade clause, tough luck. You're probably not going to end up in California, or at least not on the three California teams you want to go to. I wouldn't rule out Sacramento necessarily. So I just don't see where this ends well. This does not end well for either side. I don't think this is going to end well anytime soon. There's just no way to get to a conclusion in the near future. I just don't see it happening. Maybe if you're Golden State and you move Andrew Wiggins on some stuff, you figure it out. That's probably the only way it actually happens. But Andrew Wiggins was a pretty good player last year. He was a decent defender, at least better than he's been defensive to this point in his career. I'm not saying Andrew Wiggins is more valuable than Ben Simmons. I won't say that. But it matters what else they want on top of Andrew Wiggins. If they want Wiggins and draft picks and some young players right now, I might say no. So this Ben Simmons thing is going to come to a head eventually. But for now, we now know that he has no intentions of playing in Philadelphia again. He doesn't want to. There's too much bad blood between him and the organization. It seems like he'll never wear a 76er uniform again. Now, could that change? Probably. We've seen crazier things happen, but for now, it seems like Ben Simmons is really done with Philadelphia.